For our next presentation, BIM civil consultant Dan will try to find the answer to the following question: why is it so much more cool to be an architect? To illustrate his point, BIM civil Dan has gone to a metropolitan area, wearing a recording device. Let's listen in now. Hello, I'm Dan. How are you?
Hi Dan, I'm Joanna. So, what do you do for your job?
I do site civil engineering design.
Huh? Oh, I think my friend is calling me. Bye.
Next, we are going to try a different approach and see what happens. Hello, I'm Dan. How are you?
Hi Dan, I'm Megan. So, what do you do for your job?
I am an architect. I design big shiny buildings.
Wow, you must be smart. Can we hang out sometimes?
While BIM civil consultant Dan's evidence so far is based on a small sample size, let's assume the following statement is true: it's more cool to be an architect. Now the phones are lighting up. Let's take a call.
Hi, BIM civil consultant Dan. This is Carl from Brisbane, Australia. I just wanted to say, thanks for killing my dreams. I had been considering a career in land development engineering, but I am not sure I can handle the rejection.
Hello, Carl from Brisbane, Australia. One of the things that BIM civil consultant Dan likes to do is to exaggerate for comedic effect. Your social life will be just fine, even as a site civil engineer.
Thanks, BIM civil consultant Dan. I'm relieved. Bye.
Thank you, young Carl from Australia. Let's take another call.
Hi BIM civil consultant Dan, this is Mr. Lance, with Emery Properties in Malaysia. I understand you are trying to make land development engineering become more cool. And I have a few suggestions.
Thank you so much. Sir, Mr. Lance in Malaysia. We just want to become more cool.
Who doesn't want to be cool? So, first thing I suggest, is to wrap yourself in the glory of architecture. Because let's face it, architecture is cool, yes, but more than that, buildings are cool. Especially, big shiny buildings are cool. Why else would we associate a cool city with a cool image of its skyline? And we put that image in the background anytime we broadcast, along with the coolest and most idealized version of ourselves in the form of an avatar. That way we maximize our coolness.
Oh, Mr. Lance in Malaysia, you are preaching to the choir now, my brother.
If what you mean by preaching to the choir is to express a belief or opinion, with a strong assumption that the listener may also share the same belief or opinion, then yes. I somehow guessed you would concur. Anyway, you guys are already cool. Let's talk again soon. Bye.
Thank you for joining our forum, Mr. Lance, from Malaysia. Now, let's take a call from BIM civil consultant Tom, in coastal Southern California, United States, who is listening in to our call from Malaysia.
Hi Dan, I was listening in to your call from Malaysia, and let me just say, I would also concur with the opinion of Mr. Lance regarding the idea to wrap yourself in the glory of architecture, and I would go even further than that, and suggest we can wrap ourselves in the glory of architecture, and, or within the majestic beauty of the physical environment unique to our particular geographic location, along with the coolest and most idealized version of ourselves in the form of an avatar, in order to achieve maximum coolness.
BIM civil consultant Tom, you're a genius. Sorry to interrupt. We have a very important incoming call now from the architect. He prefers to be referred to as the architect.
Hello BIM civil consultant Dan, this is the architect. Please only refer to me as the architect. Calling from my high-rise office building of one of the tallest, shiniest buildings in New York, United States. First of all, I would also concur with your premise. It is indeed more cool to be an architect. And it is especially cool to be me, the architect. Because for you, usually that title also means the client or the boss or my employer.
Thank you so much for joining our forum, Mr. the Architect. We have come to the conclusion that, as land development engineers, in order to promote ourselves and our brand, we may want to wrap ourselves in the glory of architecture. Because we just want to become more cool.
Who doesn't want to be cool? But may I suggest an alternate term, such as we are the providers of architectural services? That way, you can wrap yourselves in the glory of architecture, without implying that you are in any way an architect. Or, the architect.
Thank you for your suggestion, Mr. the Architect. We agree. We will only refer to ourselves as providers of architectural services. May I ask, however, may we also occasionally refer to ourselves as the engineer? Which is a designation that is almost similarly as cool as designation of the architect.
Look, if you want to sit on my shoulders and call yourselves tall, then be my guest. Anyway, it depends on the role you take contractually within a particular project. But yes, I suppose you can occasionally be referred to as the civil engineer, which is in no way even close to as cool as it is to be the architect. So, let's not go too far with this wrap ourselves in the glory of architecture idea.
You are, indeed, super cool, Mr. the Architect.
Why don't you tell me something I don't already know?
Wouldn't you also agree that architects, occasionally, tend to wrap themselves in the glory of structural engineering, which is essentially a civil engineering specialty?
I have another, more important call now. Bye.
Thanks again, Mr. the Architect. I think in summary, what we have confirmed today is, it is more cool to be an architect.